I don't like EA. You know their gimmick. Obtain the best intellectual properties, make awful games, stuff them with excessive monetization, get in trouble with the US government, rinse and repeat. Sometimes they'll go the extra mile and acquire a company and siphon them of all their resources before starting on their next, handiwork. We could be here all day talking about all their victims, but I, Paranova, want to focus on who I believe to be the most tragic: Plants vs. Zombies. Plants vs. Zombies is a funny... what is this? Horror game? Strategy? Probably tower defense. Whatever it is, it began on April 1st, 2009 with the viral music video, Zombies on Your Lawn. This video was uploaded to introduce the world to Plants vs. Zombies, and a month later, on May 5th, 2009, it was released for both PC and Mac. The game saw great success and numerous ports, including to iOS and Android devices, Xbox Live Arcade, PlayStation Network, and even the Nintendo DS, one I was personally very excited for as a kid. We later got a re-release Game of the Year edition on PC and Mac. Plants vs. Zombies has since had sequels and spin-offs, but despite this, the PvZ community generally agrees that the original Plants vs. Zombies is the best game in the series. But these sequels and spin-offs are for another day. I have so much to say about EA acquiring PopCap and PvZ, but I wanted to go back and revisit a beloved childhood classic before Greedy Corporation did Greedy Corporation. If you've never played Plants vs. Zombies or its sequel, you should know that zombies are attacking you for your brains. No one knows how they got here. Maybe it was some Last of Us zombie pandemic, but they're here, and you have to stop them. You're armed with sentient plants, and you've got to pick up your trowel and plant them if you want any chance of survival. If a zombie gets inside your house, that's game over. Admittedly, this is a zany idea, but it takes it and runs with it. And to the game's credit, it really, really works. People remember Plants vs. Zombies because of how weird and nonsensical it is. There's a reason Zombies on Your Lawn is as iconic as it is. It's amusing, it makes no sense, and it's a cute sunflower singing a song. What isn't there to love? But is it all nostalgic love? I decided to buy the game on Steam and see for myself, with the first stop being Adventure Mode. By the way, I have a podcast called Adventure Mode with two other gamers, okay, bye! We start with the basic pea shooter, which is what I consider to be the first of 4 Plantsmen of the Apocalypse. A Plantsman of the Apocalypse is an essential plant, one that can be replaced by something better later on, but is still the figurehead of a certain type of plant. Pea shooter represents attacker plants, plants that chip away at zombies' health until his head falls off. Great, easy first level. We then get the Sunflower, the second of the 4 Plantsmen of the Apocalypse. Sunflower represents producer plants, usually sun producers. In order to plant basically anything, you need the game's currency, sun. Sun usually falls from the sky, but the rate you normally collect at will only take you so far. You need to use sunflowers to boost your production, which creates the secondary goal of not just protecting your home, but also protecting the sunflowers from being eaten by zombies. While producer plants are a very niche category, it's still outstanding enough to merit Sunflower a spot as the second Plantsman. After the second level, you get the Cherry Bomb. But because I could never afford him as a kid, he doesn't get a spot of the third Plantsman. Also, because PopCap relegated him to the last plant in the second world in the sequel, and to a power-up in the threequel. Crikey. After fighting off more zombies, you get the Walnut, the actual third Plantsman of the Apocalypse. Walnut represents defender plants, the ones that don't attack zombies, but instead either weaken them or just serve to hold the line while the attackers do all the heavy lifting. Don't be fooled though, some defenders are essential to certain levels, and it's a good idea to have a few in case things get dicey. And lastly, you get the Potato Mine, the final Plantsman of the Apocalypse, representing the insta-kill plants. Insta-kills are very nice to have. Sometimes 1 or 2 zombies will sneak through your defenses, and having something ready to take them out right away saves you a lawnmower or even the game. However, they shouldn't be relied on to get the job done. There are a few plants that blur the lines between these categories, but if you keep attacker, producer, defender, and insta-kill in mind, you'll do alright. But right after we meet Potato Mine, we meet Crazy Dave. I genuinely believe that Crazy Dave is the reason internet humor is so messed up today. The man gives you a walnut and tells you to go bowling. Why? Because he's crazy. Get used to it. After killing more zombies, even though they're supposed to be dead already, but hey, they don't care, The zombies kindly let you know that they're going to launch an all-out attack on your house. This is commonplace at the end of every world, and each of these finales are special conveyor belt levels. Overall, a nice way of spicing things up and rounding out the world. But little do you know, once you win, you unlock the most overpowered plant in all of Plants vs. Zombies. No, I'm not joking. Not only is Puffshroom absolutely adorable, he's broken. First of all, he's free, which is awfully convenient considering that in the following night levels where sun doesn't fall from the sky, sun doesn't fall from the sky. He can single-handedly take out a basic zombie, has small enough cooldown to be super spammable, and did I mention he's free? Combine these things and get an army together, nothing is getting past you. Even in day levels where he's supposed to be useless, he can still serve as a defender to stall zombies and buy more time for early game sun production. Did I forget to mention he's free? He was so overpowered in this game, he had to get nerfed into oblivion in the sequel, and I mean actually into oblivion. They literally make him disappear. Poof. Gone. He got so good, the only way to nerf the man was to make him literally non-existent. And even with that, this guy still hasn't fallen off? And did I mention he's free? Puffshroom is obviously incredibly useful over the next few levels, and as you progress, almost every plant you'll unlock in this section is a mushroom plant, which only attack during the night. Some of the plants you unlock serve as perfect counters to certain zombies. These counters, such as Fume Shroom to Screen Door Zombie or Hypno Shroom to Football Zombie, aren't just one-to-one. Other plants, like Tall Nuts, Magnet Shrooms, and Umbrella Leaves, help counter multiple zombies. This helps make picking your loadout at the start of each level a somewhat thoughtful experience. Plants vs. Zombies does a fairly decent job of balancing the plants and zombies, so that for first-time players, no level is way too difficult, and very few levels are too easy. But if you know what you're doing, this game can become absolutely mindless, pun intended, especially when you use an insane number of producers and a certain pool of top-tier plants, Puffshroom being one of them. Besides Puffshroom's mushroom friends, you get the Gravebuster, the first of a 5th plant type. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a 5th plantsman of the apocalypse, the utility plant. While Gravebuster isn't that 5th plantsman, he is a good representation of what utility plants do. Utility plants don't affect zombies themselves, but rather the environment around you. Gravebuster does this by taking out graves, allowing you to plant on tiles they were on, as well as preventing zombies from spawning on spaces they were at. Utility plants are in some cases essential to getting through certain levels, though there's crazy people who manage to beat the game without them for some reason. After some night levels and a weird whack-a-mole game with Crazy Dave, you get another note from the zombies, letting you know they want to visit for a midnight snack. After you win, you unlock Lilypad, the true 5th plantsman of the apocalypse. The zombies have decided to attack your backyard and abnormally long swimming pool, and Lilypad is your new best friend. For the next large chunk of the game, you'll be planting Lilypads over your pool to keep it protected with your regular loadout. You'll also continually be unlocking super unique and interesting plants, but once you get far enough, you'll find Crazy Dave's car key. Not only is he your crazy neighbor, he is now your local shopkeeper who will sell you plants, pool cleaners, and aquariums. Don't question him, he's crazy. Now's also a good time to talk about the music, because this entire game's soundtrack is one of the best in gaming history. I bring this up now because Pool's song, Watery Graves, is my favorite track in the game, but it has some serious competition. Cerebral, Moongrains, and of course Graze the Roof are all absolutely incredible. I was humming along to these masterpieces throughout my time with the game, which usually only happens with really good songs. Huge props go to the composer of all of these tracks, Laura Shigihara. It's really heartbreaking that she left the team after Plants vs. Zombies creator, George Fan, was laid off by EA. Again, this is something I don't have time to elaborate on in this video, but I do have to say, I think she made the right call. We might not have as many classic bangers to listen to, but it's not about the bangers, it's about the friends you've made along the way. But if you do want a taste of what more she would have composed for Plants vs. Zombies 2, there's a tune she wrote for Pirate Seas that went unreleased until about a year ago. I'll play it as background music when I talk about the fog stages later on. I think it fits really nicely there. I'll also put in an editor's note to let you know when it starts, and a link in the description for the full song. Besides the bangers, this is the point where you begin to unlock minigames. While most are locked until after you beat Adventure Mode, when you do get there, it is a wild ride. These minigames are part of why Plants vs. Zombies is so memorable. There are some really iconic games here, like Zombotany. In Zombotany, you have to take on zombies that have plants for heads, and it's a hold on. Plants for heads? Anyway, like I was saying, it's a fun twist that adds a nice layer of difficulty to the game in a way that feels organic. Pun intended. Similarly, we have Invisible, in which zombies are completely invisible. Who could have guessed? You need to use visual and sound cues to determine where zombies are so you can successfully take them out. My favorite minigame though has to be Portal Combat. Plant projectiles and zombies can go through portals that just show up one day, and you need to be able to build your defenses around the portals that appear. Some ports of the game even have exclusive minigames, making getting additional versions of the game not completely worthless. Back on adventure mode, you finally get past the pool, and you must fight through the fog. The fog stages combine the mechanics of night and pool and add, of course, fog to the stage. This forces you to rely on sound more often to help you navigate through the levels, and this makes the game so much more exciting. And the game is at its best during Fog's final level. There's a lightning storm that makes you unable to see anything on the lawn. You'll only get glimpses of what's going on when the occasional lightning strike illuminates the battlefield. You need to use what limited information you have to place plants and counter the zombies, and it's such a natural way to increase the difficulty of the game, and it's easily Plants vs. Zombies' best level. It does suck that it's a conveyor belt level like the rest of the game's all-out attacks. Had this been a regular use the sun to plant stuff level, it would have been so much more amazing, but I can't really complain. What we got is still incredibly well thought out and fun to play. There's one last thing you unlock during the fog levels, and that's puzzles. Level 4-5 gives you a taste of one of these, Vase Breaker. The game drops vases across the field, which can contain anything from a plant to a zombie to even sun. You usually get a couple of green vases, which are guaranteed to have plants in them, but after that, there's no good way of knowing what will come out when you break a vase. You need to plan ahead, improvise, and have a little bit of luck as you try to clear all the vases without letting the zombies get to your home. We also get iZombie, where you play as the zombies as you try to invade your own house. You attack cardboard cutouts of plants, and you need to get through every lane in order to eat a row of brains that are just sitting there. I have questions. The puzzles also come with an endless mode that lets you play continuously. There isn't nearly as much variety with these though, and after a few rounds you're probably gonna be done with it. After the game's highest point comes, in my opinion, the game's lowest, the roof of your house. Our new utility plant is the flower pot, and considering there's no soil on the roof, you'll need it to be able to plant over your roof tiles before you plant anything else. Not only is this another natural way of increasing the difficulty, but it's incredible attention to detail. I hope Plants vs. Zombies 2 remembers this extremely important and keystone game mechanic. The roof is also curved upward, which prevents projectiles with straight trajectories from hitting zombies on upper portions of the roof. The game provides you with catapult attackers to help counter this, but you can still use your previous plants, provided they're planted far enough along the roof that projectiles can still hit the zombies. But besides these two changes, there's nothing new to see here, besides, of course, new plants and zombies. It's not a bad final world. I feel like the pieces are there to make this incredible, but Roof doesn't quite surpass the heights of the previous two worlds. Even though it does. You also unlock the Zen Garden. From now on, when you kill a zombie, you might get a plant sprout. For some reason, this game is weird. You can also buy some from Crazy Dave, and these sprouts can grow into plants you've unlocked on your journey. They can provide you with free money when you take care of them, which means watering them, spraying them with bug repellent, even letting them listen to music. What's awesome about Zen Garden is that you could just have it open on a separate tab. Maybe it's to farm for some coins, but you can even just have your plants open on another window. Zen Garden, more than anything else in this game, shows how much love was poured into it, which makes the PopCap buyout of 2011 so much more depressing. After some more firefights and this really weird chomper level, you receive one final note from Dr. Edgar Zomboss. Because the zombies have spent 49 straight days attacking your house with no success, or a lot of success if you suck at this game, their leader is going to visit your house personally. Here begins the game's only boss fight. Zomboss will attack with zombies, fireballs, and RBs in a last desperate attempt to get to your house. The fight is pretty easy if you know what you're doing, and it is a bit repetitive since the only attacking plants you can consistently use are the 3 catapult plants. Once you've defeated the zombies give up, and we get a musical number that you've probably heard somewhere before. After you beat Adventure Mode, the game really starts to open up. The minigames and puzzles you couldn't play before have been unlocked, and you're likely to have a few sprouts for your Zen Garden. You can also try to make a Zombatar, which is a zombie avatar. I was gonna try it, saw this, considered it, and noped out of there. Like any normal person should. You can also buy the Tree of Wisdom, which will give you some nuggets of knowledge every time you feed it plant food. Some tips are genuinely helpful, some include really fun Easter eggs, and others still have crazy lore drops. Get on it, MatPat. Feeding the Tree of Wisdom and unlocking the rest of the game's plants will take up a lot of your money, and one way to continue to farm money is through replaying Adventure Mode. In future playthroughs, Crazy Dave will pick 3 plants for you, and while you don't have to use them, electing to use them spices up the formula just a little bit. But there is one more mode we have yet to touch on, Survival Mode. In Survival Mode, you pick between all 5 worlds, and once you pick one, you have to survive multiple waves of zombies in that world. But there's a catch. Every so often, you'll have a chance to re-pick your plants and strengthen your defenses. After some time, you'll unlock a 3rd Endless Mode. In this final Endless Mode, zombie waves will just keep on getting stronger, and you'll need overpowered top-tier plants like Gloomshroom, Cob Cannon, Wintermelon, and Pumpkin if you want any chance of surviving later waves. And because Survival Endless only has a few viable strategies in the late game, the game's replayability takes a huge hit. And that's the biggest issue with Plants vs. Zombies. Every issue I can think of that this game has starts with plant balancing. Now, hold on, hear me out. Puffshroom and the gang are pretty broken, and once you have them in your arsenal, the game becomes way too easy and repetitive. An easy and repetitive game, therefore, has less replayability. See where I'm going with this? If you're hoping to play this game for a while, the way you're going to extend your playtime is by experimenting with plants that aren't in Puffshroom's posse. The game's achievements already encourage this, and if you're a casual player, there's enough replayability to keep you in the game, at least for a while. But if you're a completionist, this game becomes a mindless chore. You'll need to ground mountains of money to complete both your Zen Garden and Tree of Wisdom. But even with this issue, I still had so much fun with the game. Looking back, my love for this game was definitely nostalgia-based. It wasn't as challenging as I remembered it being, but it was somehow so much more fun. And this brings up a good question. Does a game need to be challenging to be rewarding? Metroid Dread's answer to that would be yes. As I explained in my previous video, Metroid Dread forces you to get good and rewards you for every obstacle you overcome, and that's the most essential part of a Metroidvania. Plants vs. Zombies, however, spits in the face of that and says that you can have just as much of, if not more, of a rewarding experience by doing something easy and silly. Whether the reward is a complete Zen Garden, getting to wave 100 on Survival Endless, or just beating Adventure Mode, it's all about the fun you had along the way. And that's what Plants vs. Zombies is. Pure, unfiltered, broken fun. And this game doesn't pretend to be anything else. Of course, some people prefer a more serious, balanced approach to Plants vs. Zombies games, and that's awesome too. Whatever your preference, make sure you have fun. And now that I've played through Plants vs. Zombies again, I'm finally ready to revisit the sequel. New plants, new worlds. I wonder what's in store. That's not what I meant, but okay.